Episode 2 opens with Tila and her lady friend, Andra, being mercs or whatever. In the classic franchise, Andra was a redhead, like Tila, but I guess Kevin Smith and Netflix decided 2 was one too many, and so it goes, die, 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 my ginger, just shut your pretty mouth. Which, in and of itself, I wouldn't have too big of an issue with, since Andra was primarily a character in the old comics. But it's this weird thing where Hollywood seems to be erasing redheaded characters from existence that makes it notable. To be quite frank, I'm honestly surprised they didn't do that to Tila too. Just, check more diversity boxes. Here, we're introduced to Stinkor, a character that didn't even make it into the old show, but did have his own figure. And that was kind of a nice little thing. Not remotely enough to erase the stink from this show, but nice all the same. He's voiced by Jason Mewes, which I wouldn't have known if I hadn't looked another character up on IMDb. He also promptly gets his ass kicked in 0.5 seconds by Tila in a fight scene that's not actually shown. Also, she's just awesome enough to blow away a cloud of Stinkor's gas by twirling her staff thing in a circle over her head. Because of course she is. This scene is also where we're introduced to her I don't need no man haircut. There are legitimately memes about this fucking haircut. Hollywood truly is the place where trends go to die. After this, the two friends go to take the trinket they got off Stinkor to some priestess, during which Andra makes an awesome sex joke. No glove, no love. I mean, really? I think it was at this point that I truly realized this wasn't the He-Man I remembered. Not even the updated O2 version. Don't get me wrong, I love a good casual sex joke. My mind's in the gutter at least 90% of the time. But this is supposed to be He-Man, not something on Adult Swim. There's always been a sort of overarching theme of wholesomeness about the Masters of the Universe that just isn't present here. Like, the people running the show just didn't get it. You can still make a show dark and metal without devolving into blatantly adult humor. Or, at least by making it subtle. Just look at Batman the Animated Series or Batman Beyond. Dark, gritty, edgy, not a dick joke in sight. Now, here in the scene, some old lady who's totally not evil Lynn hires Tila and Andra for a job to go into Snake Mountain. And we find out that Andra is the fastest engineer ever! Because women in STEM fields, am I right? Then Tila has a moment and a nice flashback to an old battle in Snake Mountain, and we get another look at He-Man in a flashback, cementing for all and sundry that this show is supposed to be about He-Man, and it's not. She and her friend take the job and make their way to Snake Mountain, but oh noes! All the doors are blocked and rigged to blow the place up if someone so much as farts in their general direction, apparently. Not even the fastest engineer ever can disable the splody traps on the door. That's okay though, because Tila can bust through solid metal doors with her metal changey stick. Oh why did Eternia ever meet all those big, burly, strong men when Tila was obviously just so much stronger, powerful? Why? Oh, that's revealed in episode 4. Don't worry, we'll get there. This next bit reintroduces us to Trapjaw and Triclops in this new world. And they're running some kind of techno cult that is quite obviously based on trappings of the Catholic faith. They even had a techno trinity. Now, some people seem to view this as some sort of an attack on Catholicism and general organized Christian faiths. Personally, I didn't really get that from it. Smith's always been pretty open about being raised Catholic, and it just felt like he threw this in simply to be edgy and cool, as a sort of misguided homage. Not a particularly good one, mind, but it didn't truly feel, to me, like some sort of an attack. Though, given the context and the body horror imagery, seriously, I can see how people might very easily come to that conclusion. Personally, my biggest peeve was the puns. We who live in diode No, just fucking no. Oh, and the little robot girl was freaky as fuck. Just saying. Right around this point in the episode, we get a couple of what could seriously be construed as queer baiting between Andra and Tila. Longing looks and hand-holding. I mean, I just don't get when and why it became a thing that strong women needed to have these butch haircuts, be all burly like dudes, and be lesbians in order to be strong. My mom's legit one of the two strongest people I know. Put herself through school while working full-time and raising 3 boys on her own. She's not butch. She doesn't have a butch haircut. She's certainly not fucking gay. And she's definitely not winning any physical fights with a man. But she's still strong as fuck. I mean, why does Hollywood think that strength means being able to physically compete with men? I wish somebody could answer that. 'Cause I don't know. Anyway, we get to the point where Evil Lyn is revealed and is working with a dying sorceress. Also, Cringer is there because he's been guarding the sorceress for however many years it's been since He-Man's apparent death. Tila's told that magic is dying, and that's why the sorceress is dying, because of what Skeletor did, and when that goes, all the universe goes with it. But unfortunately, Tila's not biting, because Adam lied. Fuck the universe. Fuck all of creation. She's mad, and she'd rather let everything burn down to nothing than go back to being an adventurer or whatever the fuck she has a problem with. That's when Cringer steps in, because he fucking talks, and has to emotionally validate Tila for the second time in 2 episodes. Tells her she's awesome and Adam trusted her with Eternia itself. That he was able to make his sacrifice because he just knew she'd be there to protect the world when he was gone. Seriously, again. Why did Eternia even need those useless burly men when it had Tila the whole time? Ultimately, it's Tila's lady friend who convinces her to go along because she wants an adventure. And that's where that episode ends. Episode 3 opens on a flashback. Yay for more nostalgia, babe. This one is Skeletor being a pirate with Merman. Now, Clownfish had an issue with Merman because of the way he talked. Again, they're way bigger fans than I have been for decades, so their gripes are legit. Personally, I didn't have an issue with it because, to me, him not talking like he was gargling a bag of dicks was a plus. Also, Kevin Conroy did the voice for him, and I loves Kevin Conroy. I even squeed out over Twitter when I finally recognized the voice near the end of the episode. Fuck off. Kevin Conroy was the Batman. I love Batman, and I loves Kevin Conroy. This sequence was basically set up to show how awesome Man-at-Arms, the real Man-at-Arms, was in the past. Now, I've heard people dogging on Mark Hamill's voice acting as Skeletor, and some of it is fair criticism, sure. It legit pretty much was his Joker voice. However, I, again, personally have no issue with that at all. I grew up with Hamill's Joker. To me, like Kevin Conroy is the Batman, Mark Hamill is the Joker, and I love that voice. Also, have you heard the old school Skeletor? No shade on the guy who voiced him for sure, but damn. At least Hamill's Skeletor Joker voice is actually menacing. Come on. I feel like he totally hams it up in this scene. Pun totally not intended. Puns are bad, okay? I have to admit that, at this point in the show, I wasn't exactly despising it. I don't know if it was just lowered expectations due to all the leaks that I'd seen online. So I already knew Tila was most likely going to be an insufferable see you next Tuesday, or if it was just the decades-old nostalgic connection I had to the property. But I was quite enjoying the flashback sequences. That, of course, is probably really what it was. The flashbacks, for me, seemed to have some of the 80s values, and the hokiness that goes along with that, and it just made me smile. Though that's probably more a clue that's how the show should have been rather than what it was. It was the callbacks and the flashbacks where He-Man was actually included that brought those good emotions out in me. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what, other fans might have actually liked too. If they liked anything, I don't know. Can't speak for them. There's also a point in this episode where Evil Lyn seems to be giving actual props to a man. I know, calling me surprised. But she makes a specific point to Tila that she always warned Skeletor about Man-at-Arms, and explicitly stated that he was the most dangerous man in Eternia, which, now that I'm thinking back on it, makes the rest of the sequences featuring him all the more sad to watch. Now we finally get our first look at Duncan, man-at-arms, around this point, and he's kicking some serious ass against Trapjaw and Triclops Sprocket cult thugs. It was really fun to watch. Once again, all props to Powerhouse Animation. The action sequences were always fucking cool. No denying that. But then the girls have to come in and save Duncan because girl power. Then Beastman shows up out of fucking nowhere and saves everyone. He sends Triclops packing, and we immediately see that he is completely and utterly subservient to the strong wham and evil Lyn. Can't have a strong male character in a He-Man show after all. That would be heresy. Not to be done by evil Lyn's fully neutered guard dog, Duncan just shows he has to cut harder, and the most dangerous man in Eternia proves he's the most pathetic man in Eternia by literally throwing himself onto his knees to beg forgiveness from his strong whamman's daughter, Teela. Seriously, if this dude cucked any harder, he'd have thrown her to Beastman to have his way with her while he watched and cried in a twisted parody of paternal pride. This shit was just fucking disgusting. He had nothing to apologize for. Makes me wonder if this is what Kevin Smith does for his daughter every time he can't get her a new iPhone, just falling to his knees and begging forgiveness. It's fucking pathetic. Not long after this, we finally get to see Orko again, and we learn that he's dying because no more magic, much like the sorceress. Teela wants to recruit Duncan for the journey to reforge the sword, but he can't leave Orko and Roboto, who was another character who wasn't really in the cartoon except in like one episode. See, I can Google things, which is why I don't really remember him at all. I know he was in the toy line, but I don't think I had his figure. At this point, Teela starts in on lecturing Duncan about responsibility. Remember how I said we'd circle back around to that? For real. This bitch, who cast aside all of her responsibilities because she was Big Ned, the people lied to her, wants to lecture a man who literally devoted decades of his life to his responsibilities about responsibility. The same bitch who didn't even want to go on the quest to save creation in the first place because she was Big Ned, lecturing Duncan about responsibility. I really wanted him to just take her over his knee at this point, because this girl needs a serious attitude adjustment. So, because Duncan's being a cuck, Roboto volunteers to go along, working along the logic that if Duncan can fix the sword, then so can he, since he has all of Duncan's memories. Yeah, fair enough. Then Orko begs the girls to let him come with them, promising not to fuck up, so he can just have one last adventure before he fucking croaks. Fucking Kevin Smith. Once Orko volunteers, that's when Duncan decides he's going to step up. Except now, Teela, who wanted him to come not 5 minutes before, doesn't want him. Because she's a terrible person and we can't have Duncan going along to upstage the girls because my feminism. Then we get on a boat to go out to the sea that was featured in the flashback sequence. And we also get another one of those possible queerbaity moments where Teela gazes lovingly at Andra while she's talking to Orko. Fuck off show, in the words of the ever-delightful critical drinker. Either make them gay or don't, but knock it off with the fucking nonsense. Seriously. This is a point in the show that others have pointed out that shows off some of the intersectional feminism, where both evil Lyn and Teela are basically bitching and moaning about how they could have been more if the evil men in their lives hadn't been holding them back. It's fairly prominent too, and I'm honestly annoyed that I didn't catch it on my first watch through. I mean, to be completely fair though, it was nearly 4 a.m. at that point and I just wanted to finish up the show so I could do this video. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So, Merman and his people wind up attacking the boat because Merman's a dick. I mean, he always was. That's not Smith's doing, that's just an objective observation. Then Duncan shows up and saves everyone again. Then he and Teela kind of make up, I think. I wasn't too sure since she's not any less insufferable in the next episode. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed my meandering bullcrap. Share it too. Thanks. Peace.